It's time for Blumpkin and Friends, starring your host, the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin.
This is what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass.
Hey kids, I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin, and with me here today is my friend,
Neil.
Other Neil.
Other Neil.
Or Neil. This is not the Neil that you hear so often. This is the other Neil, and when I'm with one Neil, the other Neil's the other Neil.
I don't get it.
Creepy.
I've told you this in the past. If you're here, he's other Neil. If he's here,
Really?
you're other Neil.
So I trump him on the Neil scale, huh? Oh.
Just well, if you're in the room.
Okay.
If you're not in the room, then no.
Right.
God, didn't we get into like I was calling you? He's new Neil and you're Neil Classic.
Or wouldn't that be
Or
the other
he's
way
big
around?
Neil and you're little Neil because he's 6'3"
Right.
and you're not.
I'm 5'6".
Yeah. I called you over here because I wanted to talk about a very important topic.
World politics?
Boobs.
Better.
Boobies. I wanted to talk about Byoobs. That'd be a good topic because everyone's got boob stories. And everybody likes to talk about boobs and think about boobs and look at boobs and touch boobs. Sometimes taste boobs. Sometimes lay down gently on the boobs.
Pillows.
Do you remember the first pair of tits you ever saw? That was not like a family member's by accident.
I was just going to... That was my first question. It was going to be, that wasn't my mom's?
Yeah.
Yes, actually, I do. So back in the mid-'80s, we lived in Madison, and we had cable. And the very first pair of boobs I ever saw was... So my mom and dad had left to go do some shopping, and I was sitting there by myself, and I was flipping through the channels, and I think we had one of the movie channels, like HBO or Cinemax or something like that, and I think I was probably about 6 years old, and I'm flipping through, and I see this movie where it's two people on a beach, and I think it's like a French movie, it's got subtitles, but I remember being confused because this woman didn't have breasts or boobs per se, she just was kind of flat-chested, so I saw boobs, but they weren't really... like what you'd expect as boobs.
They were like Alexandra Paul boobs.
Yes.
She was the older brunette on Baywatch that had almost no tits.
I remember. Okay, thank you for pointing out who that was. I was like, yeah, I remember that. She had nipples, but she didn't have boobs. She'd always kind of nip out in that swimsuit, right? Yeah, it was always kind of weird. But if we go beyond that, I remember watching Revenge of the Nerds. When I was like probably 8 or 9, and that's when I really saw boobs, and I also saw Bush in that movie as well. But
We've got Bush.
We've got Bush,
says
yes.
Booger.
Yep. So that was my definitive boob moments.
Mine, I think, if I'm hammering it down right, would be when I was watching Lethal Weapon 2 in my room as a kid. And that was the time that my dad came in and caught me watching it.
I think you've told me this story.
And then he gave me the talk. He's like, you know what they're doing? I'm like, they're doing it? And it was Mel Gibson and that hot blonde New Zealand chick.
Yes.
A gorgeous Kiwi broad. And my dad's like, well, why don't you tell me everything you know about sex?
And you had to give him the full gambit there?
I guess. I don't know. But he definitely overshot the mark because we watched Lethal Weapon 2 a couple weeks ago. Mm-hmm. And I watched that scene. And he could have just told me that they were kissing and he was playing with her boobies because women like it when you play with their boobies. He could have gotten away with just that instead of opening the floodgates of the talk at 8 years old. Fucking brilliant.
Wow, you really had your awakening at a young age then.
Yeah. Huh? Way to go, Roger. Now, in terms of the first pair of boobs you saw in real life yourself, not on TV.
That would probably be one of my girlfriends in high school. I want to say I was about 17 years old.
Wow, that's late.
It was. I didn't... So I always looked really young for my age. So in high school and like even junior high, it was hard for me to get a girlfriend because everybody looked at me and I looked like I was probably 4 years younger than everybody else. So girls always naturally want to kind of gravitate towards older guys or guys that are a couple years older than them, not guys who look like they're their younger brother. So yeah, I kind of had a tough time getting a girlfriend, and then therefore, actual fleshed out ones that I touched and saw was not until I was 17.
You should have just lied and said you had some kind of disease that made you look younger. Because then you might have gotten sympathy boob.
Right. Well, I did go to Chisago, and there were a lot of tall girls there, and so I got a lot of sympathy because, I don't know, they would always kind of have to lean over and talk to me, so I got to see a lot of cleavage, but I never actually got to see bare boobs until I was older. Well, what about you? When was the first time that you saw boobs in the flesh?
I believe it was 9th grade. So I was 13.
Okay.
And it was Neil's cousin.
Other Neil?
Yeah. So, anyway, so the other Neil, the Neil that's not here, I dated his cousin, very loose term, back in 9th grade for a few months. And that was the first pair of boobs I really was just like in my face, out there, that I could play with. And as soon as I had the opportunity, I just lifted up her shirt and went to town. She's like, oh my God, okay, well. She was not expecting me to just go face first into the tits.
Was it enjoyable?
For as much as I didn't know what I was doing, yeah. I was like, oh, these are nice looking tits. I remember there being like a little freckle on one of her nipples. I believe it was the left one. But that's not the first pair of tits I played with. Because the summer before 9th grade, there was some chick up north who I met for a weekend. And I used the sly line. Like we were walking and we were holding hands. And then I started kissing her. And I'm like, for some reason, this is my line. I promised myself I was going to do something tonight I never had. And I just started feeling her tits. Very suave. Letting her know nice. I'm inexperienced, going right for the gusto without asking.
Right on. That's a nice sly way to, get into for the assault, the sexual assault. Yeah.
So if she comes and knocks on my door, I would be very upset. But like, you know what? Because that was her name. I'm going to bleep that anyway. Yeah. That was 22 years ago. Get over yourself.
Right. It didn't scar her for life at this point. She would have probably noticed the emotional wounds by now.
She almost would have given me a standing Bajowski. If I would have been willing to do it in the middle of this road. They have roads around the campground up there.
Sure, yep.
But somebody might come by and see me getting a Hummer. Now, if I was smart, I would have known it would have taken about 30 seconds or less for my first one.
Yeah. Yep.
And it probably would have gone off like a shotgun and blown a hole right to the back of her throat. But you're not going to Me Too me, you bitch. Fuck off.
Hey, boys and girls. It's time for another Hey, boys and girls. Hey, boys and girls. Hey, boys and 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 girls. It's time for another ITradio fucking fucker shitting ass tits beer.
What's that whitening tooth or that whitening bubble gum?
Come.
That's what I thought
You
it was.
just have to swish it around and gargle with it.
Oh, thanks a lot. Now I'm going to have to sit here. It's Orbits.
Orbits?
Orbits makes mouths clean.
I like, he's like, now I'm going to have to sit here, Orbits. Like he instantly
That's how fast I fucking work. I'm like Data from Star Trek, but I'm not a fag.
But yet you can
Data's
never get a
not
chick
gay,
longer
is he?
than 5 seconds.
He probably
I
is.
No, it was the black dude.
He loves robot dick.
Yeah, but what's wrong with robot? It's not gay. It's robot dick.
I'm pretty sure any kind of dick on your dick is gay.
It's not a dick. It's
I don't
just
care.
What,
It's
are you
like-
playing swords?
It's just a metal extension.
Yeah, it's just a metal extension.
No,
It's like
dude.
a dildo.
No, he's
And
got
it's a
like the
robot.
full-on
What if
cyborg skin over
the
his...
chick? What if she had like really nice robot tits? Not like Austin Power, but like the metal, and you can see the chips in it when you threw rocks at her because you wanted to hit on her.
Why would I be fucking a robot now?
Oh.
Is this
Because
like
that's where
sometime in the
that's-
future where I've somehow warped to the year like 4000 and all that's available is like fuckbots?
No, we were talking about. You were just talking about how the dude
Yeah,
from
he's
Star
got
Trek.
a robotic dick.
Yeah, and that's how we were talking about. That is, you're not gay if you're fucking a robotic dick because it's not a dude.
No, it's a dick.
It's not. What if you called it
Maybe you can
a female
sit there and be
vagina,
comfortable with being
female,
pseudo-gay, but I
female
can't.
vagina extension member?
No.
What up, Ninja? You're listening to Blumpkin&Friends.
Have you ever seen or played with boobs at work?
Yes.
Go on.
Years ago, when I worked at Menards in Forest Lake, I actually was dating a gal. She originally worked in the front office, And ironically enough, right as we started dating, they transferred her back to my department in wall coverings. So she ended up being my part-timer while I was an assistant manager back there. As we were dating, eventually when store management found out, they put a kibosh on that. But
yes, because technically that's sexual harassment.
Right, yes.
You're in a position of authority over her.
Right, but I wasn't when we first started like hanging out and all that. But yes, I got a chance. She was working one night and we were kind of messing around on the back aisle when after the store had closed. So yeah, I got to mess around with a pair of boobs at work. I think there's been other times when like on my lunch break, a girlfriend or something's come up or something like that, but nothing too risque, I guess. In
terms of you feeling boobs or getting some boob play at work at Menards, were there cameras in those aisles? No, we kind of were tucked away because we knew we'd be in trouble if we were fornicating on the job. Well, obviously. Right. So that was one of those things. But back then, too, there was this understanding that not all of the cameras at Menards were real. We had this idea that some of them were just fake, like camera globes, So, but yeah, they were not as prevalent as they are in some stores back then. My history of playing with tits at work, back when I worked at Target, there was this chick, and she wanted my dick bad. I think she just wanted dick bad in general. Yeah. But she wanted my dick really bad, and she knew I had a girlfriend. She kept hitting on me. And here's how fucking horny she was. I got a hot dog from Food Avenue, and everyone was taking so long to get their order, and I just figured I'd make a sly joke. I'm like, come on, hurry up, guys. My wiener's getting cold. And without missing a beat, she's like, it wouldn't be if you'd put it in me. I was like, Jesus! Subtlety. Right. So this was the gal whose boob you saw, or you got boob play from? I was in the back stock room, which is where I worked, and she was back there, and I talked her into coming into this office that was back there with me. It was like some price changer receiving manager's office, and almost nobody was ever in there. And it had a door that you could close. So I took her in there, and then we made out a little, and then I lifted up her shirt, and I played with her big boobs. I was like, this is awesome. Right? Best day ever at work? Well, it was at the time, it was pretty goddamn high up there. It ranks up there with the time me and Rick were screwing off on the clock at Blaine up in the Mez, and I invented the game Ghost Bowling. Ghost Bowling? I don't think I'm familiar with this game. Ghost Bowling is those giant, stupid, light-up plastic blow mold ghosts for Halloween. They're like $30 with just a light bulb inside. Right, and they take up a ton of space. You can't store them anywhere well up there. And we had a basketball up there because we sold basketball. So I took it out of the package. I'm like, Rick, set him up. He's like, what do you mean? I'm like, come on, think of the bowling team, because we were on a bowling team. And we set up 10 ghosts like pins. Nice. And we bowled those bitches. And nobody ever came and busted you out? Nobody. Huh? No, you would think that the noise would fucking attract attention, but we were up there for a good 15, 20 minutes. Nice. It was because the tail end of Christmas setup, I had extra payroll that they were giving me to have people on the clock. Yep. And the yard was out of payroll that week, so they sent Rick to me. So basically, we fucking screwed off for like 3 days straight. That is awesome. I invented ghost bowling. I came up with the concept for an True Hollywood story of Cobra Commander, which is fucking hilarious. Yeah. So much fun shit. Like that was like a new plateau for Rick and my friendship. Right on. Because we had so much time to just dedicate to screwing off and telling dirty jokes. Now, speaking of boobs, did you see Rick's then? I know where this was going. Rick did not show me his boobs. Okay. It was this other chick who, once upon a time ago, knobbed me off. Well, my then girlfriend was on vacation with her mom out of state. And that chick didn't give head, so... It was an even more of a compliment. When this chick did, holy shit, she's lucky that she didn't get decapitated. I had girlfriends, a couple of them over the years, that said, I don't give head. I'm like, well, I guess I don't either, then. Yeah. I guess I don't go out with you anymore. Yes. Pretty bitch. Well, the sex is really good, but...
Hey, Gabagool, get up off the couch and get your culo in shape. I'm Fabrizio, and this is my brother Astudio. In case you were wondering, he doesn't talk. When he was 5 years old, he had an accident with a wiffle ball bat that left him with a slight discomfort, but a profound fear of flapping his gums. We are the proprietors of the Caglione Brothers Hard Body Boot Camp, and we want to help you get into the best shape that a handful of unmarked bills in a non-sequential order can achieve. We own the premier fitness facility in St. Louis Park. We are located at the corners of West 29th Street and Jersey Avenue South. It's actually just a park, and we mainly hang out there to meet strange, flexing with our shirts off and stuff glistening in the midday sun, but we will totally dedicate the third Saturday of every month to helping anyone, and I mean anyone, who's willing to pay us to teach them basic calisthenics in an effort to help them get the body they've always dreamed of. Call us today at 612-438-4273. That's 612-GET-HARD.
You're listening to Blumpkin and Friends.
Now, there's a few special sets of tits from over the years and stories that are possibly tied to them. When I was in 9th grade up until the first part of 10th grade, I was dating this chick. She was the first girl I ever loved. And we did virtually nothing for all the months that we were going out in school. So on the last day of school of 9th grade, we hung out for hours after the fact. And part of it was we went out next to the practice football field, and we're sitting on this big rock that was off in the woods. So to the side of Totino Grace, behind what's now the library, there was this little hanging out area. And we sat there, and it was the first time I ever felt her tits.
Right.
And oddly enough, her friend was standing there watching.
Girlfriend?
Yeah. Her female friend was standing there just like watching us make out.
And fondle.
And when I fondled her boobs. And she thought it was very sweet, but also hilarious. I don't know. The girl was fucking strange.
Well, you do get ones that are voyeuristic, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The first time I ever saw the Dirty B's tits, my wife.
Yep.
Okay. I just want to point this out. I was 18.
Wow, you guys have gone rounds then.
Yeah. That's when I met her as way, but she was 17 and I was 18. She was a senior and I was graduated.
Oh, and it just came up to see some boobs, or how did this work out?
I was friends with the girl that introduced us, and I thought that she had a thing for me. And then she introduced me to the Dirty B, and then I had a thing for her. And then we would just casually fool around. And I remember the first time I saw her tits, I was like, wow, look at those. She had some beautiful tits. I mean, they're still beautiful tits. They're different now.
Oh, right.
Because they got bigger.
Life changes.
Right. And she weighed like almost nothing back then because she was on the swim team.
Okay.
Not saying she's fat now. But by comparison, you know.
Right.
When you're in your 30s versus when you're 17 and you fucking weigh like 92 pounds.
Right. You really haven't filled out then.
And still have like large C's.
Wow.
Yeah. Swing.
And she was an athlete.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oh.
Yeah, the first time I saw those. So those were like really, of all the tits I saw or played with when I was a teenager, hers were my favorite. Hands down. Because that first love of mine had, her nipples were innies.
Oh, yeah. Okay, I was wondering if we were going to get into some details of boobs and things like that. That is a weird thing. You know what I mean? When the nipples are kind of actually inverted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to make of it.
Right.
Because they were like pushed in, and then there was like a little slit in them, and it looked like little pig's feet.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And you're like, are these going to pop out? What do they do? Yeah. Yep.
Fucking, I don't know. She was like super short. She was like 5'1" and weighed maybe 90 pounds. So she had like large A's.
Okay.
And then her sister, and they were twins. Her sister had like A's. And I'm saying A's. And kind of a depressed man.
Right? That's not fair. They can't help the genetics they were born with.
Well, I'd like to hope that one of them got fake tits.
Well, I was going to say, or padded bras kind of help out and kind of give the impression
no,
that there's something
fuck
there,
that. That's false advertising. I am staunchly against that shit.
Well, you never stuff a sock in your pants to...
No, why would I do that?
Just kidding. I just thought it would be funny.
It'd be really depressing for the chick who's like, all right, he's got this monster... Oh,
right? Oh,
fuck. Way to tease me.
Right. No, I agree. I always felt that was kind of not necessarily unfair, but when you're wearing like a push-up bra or you're doing something to kind of accentuate what you really don't have, it's like, hey, they don't realize that just leads to bigger disappointment when we do finally get them naked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any especially memorable tits for you?
Yes. There was a few. Let's see here. I would say that, ironically enough, out of all the gals I've dated and things like that, I've never actually dated a gal or had sex with a gal with anything less than a B. Now, does that say something about me, or does that say something about the type of women I'm attracted to?
No, it just means you're lucky.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Fuck.
But I've kind of gone through the full range. You know what I mean? I've seen some beautiful B's, fantastic C's, and some like amazing D's.
God, you just reminded me of something, but keep going. Don't let me forget. All I'm going to say is there was a chick at Target, and she had double E's.
Oh, see, now that just sounds like back problems.
Yeah, and I tried to like get close to her in hopes that she would show them to me, but yeah, there was no way. I guess that's the end of that story. You go on.
Okay. But there were some that I guess maybe what's coming to mind right now are the kind of the train wreck boobs, the ones where you get the bra off and you're like, wow, that left one is wow, that is way bigger than the right one. Or there was this one gal, she was in the Forest Lake store at Menards. We dated for a little bit, and I remember being impressed because she was tiny, skinny, had this nice little curvy figure, ample C's, right? And then I took the bra off, and they made me think of Grandma. They literally went and laid flat on her chest and down to her stomach. And this gal was like prime. She was like 19, 20 years old. I mean, she should have been firm as can be.
But fried egg on a doornail?
Oh, yeah. It was
there.
Yeah. And what was
you know who I'm talking about.
Kind of funny. Yeah. We won't have to mention her name.
Oh, those poor depressed breasts.
Yeah. But what was ironic is, so I was the first guy to kind of date this gal. She was a new cashier, and her and I started hanging out for a few months, but it was really going nowhere. But she ended up dating a couple other guys at that store.
Jesus.
Yeah. Some weird stories behind it. One of them was a roommate of mine at the time. We were thinking she actually was dating him so she could kind of just hang out at the house next, kind of be near me again, because she was kind of that way. She thought I was the greatest thing ever. But
somebody's got a high opinion of himself.
Well, I didn't. She did. Not me. I could care less about myself. But what was funny is there was a guy in between that who she was seeing for a little bit, and they stopped seeing each other, and him and I were talking, and we're like, I gotta ask you, what did you think of her boobs? And he went off. It's like, what the hell is with that? Are you kidding me? What kind of boobs do that?
Was this guy Jerry Seinfeld?
What's the deal with saggy tits?
With extra saggy boobs. No, he was actually a little bit more effeminate. I couldn't really do his voice, but yeah. We always kind of wondered if he was borderline bisexual or gay.
Oh my god, her tits are so messed up. It's
what
gross,
was with those? And
bitch.
he actually, this was probably about 15 years ago. He actually was the one who would use the term Byoobs. Oh my god, her grandma Byoobs. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. Long before it became fashionable.
Was he a little bitch?
Well, he's kind of a big fat kid.
Oh, unfortunate.
Yeah. Anyway, but yeah, so that's what's coming to mind now are some of the train wrecks that I remember seeing. Ones where you're just like, ugh. But I've dated a few gals that would have pretty amazing boobs. My son's mom, when we first started dating, hers were absolutely fantastic. And then she had my son. They became super huge, firm, like absolutely amazing. But she didn't want to breastfeed at all. So like after a month or two, they went down, and then she lost more weight. She was actually skinnier after having my son than she was before. Because when we first started dating, she would go out, drink a lot of beer. So it was kind of probably an extra 5-10 pounds on her that kind of sat in her boobs. Oh. Well, after she had the kid, my son, she lost some weight. She looked good, but her boobs just kind of were not as full. So they were kind of the same size, but a little flatter and just a little bit more disappointing.
She should have breastfed.
That's what I said. Keep those babies full for a bit.
You could have sampled.
See, that is one fantasy I've never had. I do not want to taste breast milk.
Fuck you. Why?
I'm not a big fan of milk. You
Neither
know what I mean?
am I.
I'm one of those kids who
I'm
grew
like
up where I
intolerant.
only drank milk with cereal, and I hated it when my parents would make me drink milk with dinner. And so as I got older, it was like, I don't want to taste warm boob milk. Ugh. I mean, years of having to drink warm milk.
It's so good. It's sweet tasting. It's right there from the tap.
You're making me wonder about you now. And just the fact that you guys had a child recently.
She wants to stop breastfeeding at a year, and I'm like, don't do that to me. I need that. Don't take that away from me.
Right, yeah. Because
And
you're
my-
more important than the child getting the nutrients.
Yeah, and my friend that was recently deployed out of the country had some chick that was in his unit, and she had stopped breastfeeding right before they got deployed.
Yeah.
But she kept pumping and selling it to dudes on base. Dudes that were like really into bodybuilding.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
It's
Yep.
good for you.
Yep. But no, that's not one of my things.
Oh.
I don't know why. Obviously yours.
I like it. I do like it.
It's time for another good idea, bad idea with Jesse the Body. Good idea. Going to the zoo and viewing the animals. Bad idea. Going to the zoo to view the animals and dropping acid just before going into the exotic birds exhibit. Oh my god, it's trying to eat me! Don't peck out my eyes. Good idea. Giving a nice rawhide chew treat to your dog to help maintain their periodontic health. Bad idea. Spreading peanut butter in your butt crack in hopes that your dog will help you get the gerbil out.
You're listening to Blumpkin and Friends.
I'm going to rattle off a few things. In comparison to your baby mama's tits, I will give this to the beast. Her tits are probably her best physical feature. Because, I mean, they just are. She's kind of let herself go. She's trying to get back in
they've
shape.
stayed full, the boobs have.
Yeah, for the most part. When I first met her, she had them pierced.
Oh, fun.
And that was the first chick I'd ever dated with pierced nipples.
Right.
I was like, yay. But, you know, that whole gimmick gets old fast when they're really cunty and an alcoholic.
Yeah, you can't really overlook those things for the boobs.
Because I'm not, like, into fucking tits. I can't be like, oh, tits, you fuck me so good. It's okay that she yells at me all the time and I want to throw her underneath the semi's tires.
But the boobs, when you're having sex, are nice to look at. So.
Yeah, but sometimes she'd be, like, a little inebriated and then she'd have a weird mood swing during. And I'd have to hurry up and finish before she got angry and punchy. She'd start off like really into it, and then she'd get super horny, and then she'd start to get like sleepy, but then she'd start to come to some. And by come to, I mean come to drunk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and then she'd just be like, are you almost done?
Leave me alone.
I don't want to be on top.
My head's spitting.
Shut up, beast. Just fucking close your eyes and take it.
To go back to your point about the pierced nipples, my son's mom had them when we first started dating. And there was one night we were at my apartment. Same type of thing, had been drinking. I had been out at a party and got fooling around on the couch. Well, she was on top and I was kind of just leaning back against the back of the sofa. And so there was a lot of friction on the front side in her chest area. And so I'd lifted up her shirt and exposed her boobs while we were there. And in the morning, I had blood stains all over my shirt. Apparently the piercing had come out in the middle of sex, just from the friction back and forth. She didn't notice. And
what?
Yeah. So we found the piercing in the couch later on.
Did it rip out, or did it just come unscrewed?
It ripped out.
Oh, God.
That's why there was blood all over. Yeah.
Oh, God. How did her nipple recover?
It heals. You just kind of piece it back together like skin. You know?
So it wasn't permanently split like a lizard's tongue, like forked?
No.
Because some people would pay good money to see that shit.
Yeah, I know, but I think you'd want that fixed.
Maybe she just wants one weird nipple.
I don't know. I think she got him re-pierced after we split up because, of course, she was wanting to have people look at him again besides me. So,
right.
Yeah.
Was that during her I want to get good at Call of Duty phase?
Yeah.
I want to get good at Call of Duty. Why? Just because I like to play games. No, you want to get dicked.
Right. No, you just want to talk to other dudes that are not your son's dad.
If I'm going to quote the movie Haggard, I want to play the field of dicks. Do you have any experience with black tits?
Now, Indian, and I mean dot, not feather, does that count?
That's a good specification.
Right.
That would be more of a tan tit, I guess, or a brown tit than a. But we
I've
can go with it.
I've had a couple pairs of browns, but no.
Boy, you are not having a lot of luck with that pop screen thing.
The problem is I talk with my hands. So even now, I'm talking with my hands and I'm swinging them around wildly. Yes, that happens.
I saw a pair of tits. The first pair of tits on a chick that wasn't white that I ever got to play with. She was only a quarter black, but I was like, yeah.
Right?
They were choice. And then, of course, the beast being, partially
Middle
Arab.
Eastern? Yeah.
They're slightly off, and she gets super mad that I told her friend Ivy that she has mauve-colored nipples.
Really?
It's like, why would you tell people that? I'm like, what? The color of your nipple? I don't want people to know that about me. Why?
Right.
Wouldn't you be more upset that I've told the internet that you have problems staying wet?
Right. That seems like a bigger issue.
Right, and then I just did it again to be a dick.
Mm-hmm.
Let's move on to some different classifications of tits. We've talked about ugly tits.
Yeah.
I've seen a few small tits with big nipples.
Oh, okay. Are you talking like the nipple itself is big, or are we talking like puffy areola? Are we talking big areola?
The chick that introduced me to my wife back in the day had A cups, but she had like C or D cup sized nipples, and then they were kind of puffy all throughout, and it just kind of looked like Canadian bacon.
Some slices of ham on the
yeah,
side.
but then puffy like marshmallows.
Yeah, okay.
So if they had like bacon flavored Peeps,
yep,
that's what I imagine her nipples would be like. And of course, I've seen some shaggy boobies. Have you ever seen like really veiny tits?
In pictures. I've not really seen them in person. There was this one gal I dated. She lived up in Duluth. Name was Leslie, and she was kind of short. She was like 5 foot, probably about 110. So she had a little bit of meat on her, but she had huge boobs. And yeah, I remember them kind of being a little veiny, like in the shower and everything else like that. But that was it. But I've seen some like in pictures that were just like spider webs.
Oh my.
Yeah. Like disgusting. But those were usually fake too.
Yeah, I've never seen anything that extreme. I've seen a couple of fair-skinned girls' breasts, and I'm like, oh, I can see your veins. Very pronounced, kind of. You've got good circulation.
Right. It's interesting. I have seen ones with the puffy nipples.
Uh-huh.
Those are just, it's just a little odd because it's just not what you'd expect, that the areola puffs out from the rest of the boob like that. And then I've seen ones with giant areolas, but they were usually like really light pink, so it was kind of hard to tell.
Were they redheads?
No, blonde.
Because the Beast has a friend that's a redhead, and I call her Pinky.
Okay.
Apparently she showed off her tits, and the Beast like, yeah, her nipples are like really light pink.
Oh.
I'm like, you know what that means? That means that her cooter meat is also light pink.
Right. Have you found there's a direct correlation a lot of time between the areola color and the meat color?
Yeah, they're always the same.
Yep.
The carpet matches the drapes.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it, but yeah.
Whereas, like, if I was with a true black chick, like an actual black chick, I imagine that just like on the internet, their nipples would be almost purplish, and so would the fucking chewed up dog meat downstairs.
Right.
I've seen a lot of black vaginas on the computer, but not a lot of pretty ones. That's not racist. It's just an observation. Black vaginas look different.
True.
We've reached the point in the show when it's time to play a game.
What do we have?
Well, seeing as you are here and you're one of two Neils, that would be a direct competition game, which would mean that you're playing the RPS Challenge.
Ah, sweet. Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Blumpkin and Friends proudly brings to you the Rock, Paper, Scissors Intercontinental Championship Challenge Championship of the World! 5 hands, you just say rock, paper, or scissors, you will go, and then I will tell you what he said, obviously, because if I tell you what he picked first, that's retarded.
Well, I'd win every time.
Right, and the Juice actually did that once to him.
Ah.
She was playing other Neil, and she said her hand first, and then he just starts laughing and shaking his head. I'm like, are you fucking serious? He goes first. You just told him what you're going to pick, you shitbird.
Oh.
And then just to punish her, I let it ride. So he beat her that hand, and I believe he ultimately beat her that whole game because she gave that one away.
Ugh.
She could have had him earlier on if she had that one extra point, but no. That took it to a tiebreaker in overtime.
And she lost.
No. So, you are going up against other Neil. We're going to pick 8 hands total if we go to overtime, but otherwise just 5. So you know how the game works. All I got to say is rock, paper, or scissors. I'm going to fold this over. My chart looks like shit. This pen sucks ass. Where's a pen that fucking works? Here's a pen that works. Okay. So there's an N for Neil, and an O, and an N
for other Neil. Hand number 1.
Rock.
You went rock. He went paper.
Good old rock. Nothing beats... Oh.
Yeah, paper beats rock.
Damn it.
Yeah, that's it. No. And statistically speaking, most men will pick rock first, so way to fall into that trap. Hand number 2.
Rock.
You picked rock. He picked a scissors. That's a point for you.
Bam.
You can't see these over here, can you?
No, actually, the
Motherfucker.
microphone's in the way. The lovely wild cup you have there holding up the microphone is in the way.
I do have an XL Energy Center Minnesota Wild beer cup that Rick James gave me after he went to a game 2 years ago, propping up my microphone because the wing nut on it no longer works, and I tried to fix it, and I couldn't jerry-rig it right, and yeah, I got to do what I got to do. Hand number 3.
Paper.
You went paper. He went a rock. That's a point for you. You're up 2-1. Heading into hand number 4.
Scissors.
You said a scissors. He said paper.
Holy cow.
So you've already beat him. He's been mathematically eliminated.
Oh,
but we need to play it out to see what goes on here in this last hand. So, hand number 5.
Good old rock. Nothing beats rock.
I love when you say it like that because it's not like he could have thrown a paper.
See, funny. Both times I choose rock.
Yeah. So you beat other Neil 3 hands to 2.
Suck it, Neil.
Really?
You win.
I gotta talk trash.
Okay. That's probably the time to do that's before everything.
Well, no. I like to rub it in.
Interact with the show on Twitter at Blumpkin Show. That is at Blumpkin Show. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/group/Blumpkin&Friends. I'm the Reverend Johnny Blumpkin.
This is Other Neil.
Good night.